Welcome back, everyone, to the second day of the Temtem Mid-Season Invitational provided by Crema. Lord Reaver,
Yes,
do you want
welcome all.
to give some of Crema's socials so our viewers in chat can check them out?
Yeah, so as we reminded you yesterday, we are mainly on Discord, Facebook, and Twitter.
Yes, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook at PlayTemtem and Discord Temtem. By the
Yep,
way,
we
why
will
don't
post some links in the chat a little later so that you can just click on them and find the links to our socials easily.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I forget which socials are there, so make sure to check them all out. For the people who might have not been there yesterday, why don't we go over some of the format again, right? Let's talk about how this tournament will run and how the players got here.
Yeah, so if we can pull up the bracket, it's a double elimination tournament with 15 players. So it means there's the bracket. As you can see, there is a lower top bracket and a lower bracket. So
Nice.
all players started at the C1 to 8. The losers of those matches went into the loser bracket, and well, it's a best of 3. So basically, you have to win 2 games against the same opponent in order to progress to the next stage.
Yeah, this
Yesterday,
it's a very exciting double elimination tournament, and as you can see, I'm sorry for interrupting, but we have all the results from all the games from yesterday, and man, those games were really exciting. If you want to go back and watch, you can find them on Temtem's YouTube channel as well as was on Twitch. So make sure to check those games out if you have missed them. Otherwise, stay tuned for the live games coming to you very, very soon. Also, why don't we go over the prize pool, right? These players aren't just playing for nothing.
no, they're not. The total prize pool of the tournament is $10,000. So that's 3,000 for the winner, and the rest is divided between every player. So nobody went home empty-handed.
Yeah,
And the winner also gets a qualification for the World Championship happening. When is it? End of October, I believe.
Yeah, like all that money and a world's qualification, this tournament is worth a lot. However, there is one thing I want to get out of the way before we start this tournament today, right? Yesterday, there were some games off stream in the losers bracket, and it is to my very large disappointment that I have to bring this update to everyone here. As you can
Yes,
see in the
indeed.
back, here is a list of the clowns who were in this tournament yesterday. However, not all of them made it through on the second day. In the top bracket, we have 3 players from Paradox Engine who played to the best of their abilities, and they really showed us why they are a top club and why they are the top players. Not to mention Magnetonics from Pukey Pond. While in the lower bracket, we have what I would call a complete clown fest. Yesterday,
Indeed.
Yesterday we had Welsh Leprechaun, who unfortunately was eliminated by our fellow clown Invincible, who was as well eliminated by our fellow clown Prody. So these 2 Tamers will unfortunately go in the bin. Another update I have to bring is Genosect unfortunately could not win yesterday over, I believe, was it Prody as well? And
Genosect lost against Prody, yes, as well.
So
right before
unfortunately,
Invincible got crushed by
Genosect, who was supposed to be a stall player, no longer played stall and is now out of the tournament. However, he did win quite a sum of money by winning the first game, and that's another thing you have to note. People who win the first game, they get extra money, right? So even if you don't plan to win the tournament, you can still plan to win certain games and just earn as much money as possible. And with my deepest sadness and all disappointment, unfortunately Talwyn did not win and was eliminated by our Lord Korn. So unfortunately, Talwyn has lost.
Yeah, he thought to change his name in game.
Yep, exactly. And So after all of this losers bracket talk, why don't we instead just proceed to the main showing of today? Let's go to the winners bracket. For the first game, we have snrplat versus Yhrem. An amazing matchup between two top PDX players, Paradox Engine. And as we can see, their teams are quite unique. Oh, like, do you remember anything from Plat's team yesterday?
What I remember is he puts 4 ticks of poison onto your team, then your team dies to slow and certain agony.
And even if you break that toxic, guess what you have to face after that?
Yeah, and then you basically have a giant hulking bear upon you and freezing you and just hitting you in the face once you are done complaining about how strong that bear is.
And it keeps on hitting and keeps on stacking those building blocks. However, on the other side, Yhrem has also played some magnificent games, and like his team as well is one of the most exciting ones to look out for. He has brought some big fire in his team. That Magmud right there, just like a definition of a raid boss Tem.
Oh yeah, that team is, well, if we could give a name to that team, it's basically Fragmat and Company, right?
Yeah, Fragmat and Company. Although the Magmud was unfortunately not the main show here, the Magmud did provide us some heat, and all those other Tems alongside that Magmud, like that Chimerian, that Shureen, these all just support into that raid boss kind of playstyle together, the Pocus. I think this matchup will be quite interesting, right? Because snrplat has a very it's a playstyle that kind of is very difficult to take down before he slowly chips onto you. And one of his core weaknesses, right? He's brought 4 toxics, and you know what toxics are weak to? Wins. Now, how many win Temtem are there on Yrem's team?
I'm counting 2.
Really, 2?
Yeah, Tulkan and Turok. That's
unfortunately that's not Yhrem. He has some culture here. He does not bring those 2 birds. Instead, the only bird he has is, I believe, Chimerian.
Oh yeah, no, wait, totally on the wrong team. Whoopsie.
No, but he does have a bird, and unfortunately, that bird is not a win. So he does not look like he has any win coverage against Plat. However, he does have a Shuin that could block out the toxic ticks, and he has a Chimerian which can set up Rage onto Plat and try to just sheer force through all the Tems on Plat's side. So it would be very interesting to see what each player has thought of, what kind of battle plan against each other, and it's gonna be a very exciting series to see for this first game.
Yes, indeed, because, well, like you said, Yhrem's teams is slowly setting up and then overwhelming your opponent with all the stats, the buffed stats he gained through the game. But Plat's team is it starts chipping at you right from the start, right? So it doesn't give you a lot of time to set up, because the thing that with poison is it does just 2 damage. It does 12.5 damage per turn. So no matter how much defense you have, you're still gonna lose a fixed amount of life each turn.
Yeah.
So
you remember that Scarab from yesterday?
Yeah. Yhrem is gonna have to go maybe change his spams a little and go a little faster than he's maybe used to.
Yeah, like yesterday we saw that Scarabolt on Yrem's side, it was constantly setting up defense buffs after defense buffs. However, it did once get knocked out because of toxic ticks, and snrplat is like a specialist at this. It's his core gameplay style, and he is the person who is most well known for it, right? However, there's one thing I want to point out to you that was very funny. The only I believe the only person who has brought Doom to this tournament is snrplat. And do you know what item Yrem's Calibus has right now?
Yes, it has a talisman. so it prevents completely the Doom. But the thing is, Calibus has to be on field before the Doom is applied, because it does not remove Doom.
Yeah, but it's still one of the very few ways you can avoid Cycrox's doom on Plat's side. That Cycrox could just use a single move, and it could almost put a Tem out of the showing if, like, Yhrem does not have a way to remove that doom. So maybe that Calibus could be very crucial in preventing this status condition from, like, taking one of the most important Tems from Yhrem's side out. So I feel like this is some sort of counter, like some counter teaming in a way where you have this item, and I feel like he might have purposely put this for Plat because I don't think a lot of other players in this top 15 have Doom or are known for a lot of Doom, right? Especially not after Geno stopped using Stall, which was quite fascinating.
Yeah, maybe Yhrem expected Geosec to run some kind of Doom stall team. So, but let's, without further ado, get into the match, and we see Shuin getting banned, because I was about to say maybe that Calibus is just gonna get banned, So because the gears are open, so Plat knows which Tem is running the talisman, so he could just ban it outright.
That is a very useful information, like just having an open info, and we know that Calibus is Talisman. However, as Plat's playstyle somewhat revolves around toxic ticks, perhaps he does not want that Shireen preventing any of the ticks from landing onto his partner, as Guardian does block every single toxic status condition. Another reason that Shireen was probably a very important ban was because of Chimerian, right? If Chimerian sets up a rage in front of Plat's team, it could spell big trouble for him. And one of the Tems that allows like a Tem like Chimerian to set up a rage completely freely is Shireen. So I think this Shireen was a very important ban for Plat and might be a big decider.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the thing with poison takes also, like, I'm looking at Plat's team, and there is basically only two physical attackers: the Hazrat and the bear, the Yowler. So even I'd say even if Yhrem gets around those two Tems, he can still rage and take advantage of, and not really care about that defense being lowered, right?
Yeah, that is true. Like, only the Hazrat, right? It has Lava Wave, it has perhaps Embers, it is a Fire type, it can defeat that Chimerian. I don't think that defense debuffs really matter. As for the Yowler, you do not really want Rage into the Yowler, right? But at the same time, if you can block out that Yowler, there is very little on the side of Senior Plat that is threatening that Chimerian, even if it has a -3 defense, like such as that, like the Nidrasil, right? Nidrasil, it does have physical moves. However, those physical moves are not going to hit very hard, as Senior Plat is probably not running much attack on it.
Yeah, that's probably to me it sounds like a kind of a bulky Nidrasil, but I didn't manage to see whatever spreads he was running yesterday, so. But anyway, we are not seeing it this game, so it will be a mystery for later.
Yeah, this game you have a start with the Hazrat and Shireen. Perhaps the Shireen using its water cannon with synergy to deal as much damage as possible with the toxic ticks, or it might go for a fluid barrier perhaps onto Hazrat to stop it from getting knocked out by more moves. But it does look like the Shireen's using the water cannon just to deal with the Scarwold as fast as possible. But that Hazrat
is just setting up in front of Yhrem, being like, sure, deal with me, bro. Deal with me now, or you're gonna regret it. Yeah, Scarwold also taking the water cannon, and already like we talked about, 2 toxic ticks, so that Scarwold is going down to 6% already.
Wow, like it looks like quite an even trade, doesn't it? Like, although Plat did heat up, and unfortunately that rat did take a lot of damage right there from a double up. That Scarwold is not looking much better at all, is it? Like, that toxic tick will lower down to like very little percentages if it does decide to swap out, or Plat can just decide to finish it off.
Yeah, because okay, it has Baton Pass, but it's going down to like 5 and something. Even if it comes in again, it's only 15%, and that 15%, that that leaves you open to getting one shot by something. So
Yeah, it's not a
that
lot of
Scarabald is
HP.
not in a pretty good place, I would say, right now.
Yhrem does decide to swap out his focus, perhaps not wanting to take the lava wave at +3 attack. Maybe he decides that he's going to delay defeating Hazrat and instead just wait, save his HP on his focus, which could come back and deal a lot of damage to Yowler, but he does not go for the Scaravolt. Plat decides to ignore the Scaravolt, so the Hazrat does go down. Oh no.
Yeah, maybe he thought like us, like, okay, but the Scaravolt goes down to this toxic farewell. Oh, yep, that rat explosion.
Toxic Farewell is certainly a trait that almost always gets a lot of value.
So maybe Plat just was like, yeah, I'm gonna ignore your Scaravolt because your Scaravolt is gonna want to kill my rat, and my rat's explosion is just gonna kill your Scaravolt, so I can just double in on the other slot and deal as much damage as I can before my rat dies. But as we see that Calibus is tanky. It took a double in and it only took 40%. So
yeah, like just barely under 40% as well, right? Honestly,
yeah, okay. Its item got deactivated for 2 turns, but we know it's useless because there is no doom on this team.
Yeah, you're right. Honestly, if I have to say something, I think that Scaravolt going down was probably even worse for Plat than if it was alive, right? If it was alive, maybe Shireen or something could have just finished it off, while Yowler would not have to take like a beta burst from an Adoro, as the Adoro couldn't be there on the field, right? So perhaps like this play, like the play of just Hazrat taking down Scaravolt with Toxic Feral, it actually played into Yrem's favor here.
Yeah, because that gave him a free swap, and we know how valuable the tempo and the swapping can be in such a matchup, where basically every tempo advantage and every turn counts.
Yeah, and especially that you don't want Yowler to either take damage, or you don't want it to just as if you're Yhrem, you kind of want to just deal damage as fast as possible before it gets his building blocks out. But Plat would Crystal Bite. It's not a move you see every day on a Shui nowadays with Crystal Deluge on its move pool, but Plat does run it, and it works like wonders onto that Adoraboros, especially with the Yowler Savage Suplex, abusing that reactive Vial or Yrem side. Plat is taking Yrem's item and using it for himself. Wow.
Yeah, I was gonna comment on that also, that suplex into the neutralized Adoro was a pretty good play, because Adoro being neutral means he doesn't have the resistance against neutral moves anymore, so he takes full damage from that Yowler.
Yowler hits like a truck every single time with a powerful Savage Suplex onto Adoro's somewhat weaker side of defense. But I believe these top players, they understand Adoraboros' weaknesses in defense, and they adequately invest enough defense TVs where it does not matter as much. However, we do see Yhrem taking that Adoraboros out, perhaps not wanting to take another clinch from that Yowler. However, this Yowler has so many options up right now, like Hibernate. Oh my god.
And that Schwinn also not going down, giving another +2/+2 to Yowler, so that Yowler is now +4/+4 with 85% life. That's a scary bear.
And I believe, is it time for building blocks as well?
I think it's about that time. Yeah. It's time to put some bricks on top of each other.
Oh my god, this Yowler is +5/+5 on turn 5. You got so much defense on this Yowler. It's gonna be very difficult to take it down later.
Yeah, but for now, the bear is just gonna not hibernate, but it's gonna take a beauty sleep. Just chilling. Working on its castle.
As dangerous as this +5/+5 Yowler is, perhaps with a winter call up very soon, Yhrem does have 2 very bulky mental types. I believe this is the best possible counter for Yowler, and Yhrem has, I would believe, the 2 best Tems to kill that Yowler. And it's not over yet at all. Despite this yellow being +5/+5, I would say the scale is still somewhat like equal. Maybe even tipping into Yhrem's favor with that building blocks right now.
Yeah, and also we see that Poke's just using a depress, so that means Yowler will, I mean, it won't care about how much defense Yowler will stack and special defense, because depress does a fixed amount of 120 damage. So
Exactly.
that Yowler can just chill. And oh, the Winter Call. Oh, I like that play very much. The Toxin Shower from Platimus giving it evade, and then Winter's Call from Yowler into the evade. So now that's basically Yowler's blue screen for you.
And they're refreshing
And
the
the double.
Apollo on top.
Oh, man.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. What is this? So here's the thing, right? I believe Yhrem may have greeted quite a lot and tried to go for a double Denigrate. Denigrate goes at one price, so it was probably slower than that Winter Call. And Plat, he knows his game plan. Plat, right now, one of the possible ways that he wants to guarantee a victory is by using his Mimit, the striking transmog Mimit that copies a Tem at the highest priority there is, right? And if he copies that Chimerian, what will Yhrem do to that Chimerian that he just copied, right? So I believe that's something Yhrem understands and is actively making sure that that Chimerian does not touch the board right now. However, that Winter Call did put a huge break into like the tides of Yhrem, and that greed by going for like double Denigrate did definitely not pay off there.
Yeah, that as you said, that Chimerian basically being locked by the Mimit, because if you saw Plat playing in the past, you know how much value he can get out of a Mimit. Just a Mimit sitting on Plat's team is a threat in itself. It's like it can become anything, right? So
Yeah,
everything hibernate. Yowler, I mean, why would you go to less than 100%, right?
well, why would you not see it 100% forever? Maybe Plat perhaps expected like a lot of hits from like the Adoraboros and the Pocus, and that Toxin Shower barely not managing to kill that Adoraboros could throw a small wrench into Senior Plat's playstyle. But Yhrem right now just has to take down that Plat as soon as possible to make sure that Mimit cannot copy the Chimerian. And I'm not sure if he's going to manage it anymore, especially with all of these like +3 attacks, strong hits landing from that Yowler, perhaps even taking down the Calibus before Chimerian has forced to like enter.
And that Pocus clicking depress means it doesn't have any other offensive moves than like Gamma Burst or Beta Burst. It seems like it has Denigrate and Depress and no other offensive moves.
Maybe it might have a lot of more utility than like kinds of focuses we've been used to seeing. So it's like one of the strategies you can use for Pocus is to not invest any special attack whatsoever, and makes it so you're using most of your attack is coming from like percentage based move like Depress, right? Because if you do that, you don't have to invest any special attack into your Pokes, and you can put all of those points into just full on defense, which is maybe something that Yhrem did, or maybe into speed perhaps, to get those hypnosis out very fast.
Yeah, and a bear going to sleep again, but
that focus does overexert for it.
But that Platimus is not going down. It has been sitting on the field for like 5 turns.
Yeah,
and it's
Toxin Shower with a lot of stamina invest right now is making just doing a lot of work here. You know what is one play I would love from Plat right now? Just use your ritual and hit that Yowler with that Eurytia, wake it up and let Savage take down that Calibus. And that is exactly what he does.
Does it go down? Yes, it does.
It does.
Because of that +3 attack.
And now I believe Yhrem is in deep trouble because that Mimit is out there for that Chimerian and it's gonna take down that Pokus. Do you even need the Mimit for that Pokus? Look at that HP right now.
Yeah, I mean that Yowler has Winter's Call up once again, I believe. So
Oh
it can
no.
just be the same exact turn as before, like. But
I
no,
believe
we
this
see
time
something else. Mimit.
this time this Chimerian does pack the bait. So it does block one turn of Winter's Call. Oh no, Plat predicts that Glass Blade right now and it just goes in for just like it goes in for the Mimit, tanks that Glass Blade like it's absolutely nothing. It's one of the weakest move, but it is 3 prio. And that Yowler we see, look at that defense.
Yeah, taking no
Plus
damage.
8 defense. Oh, and the
I would
Mimit.
have liked seeing a double bear there, but oh well. I guess Plat is playing the safe game.
Yeah, he's playing it safe. He doesn't want he doesn't want, as people would say, barrel clock. It's not barrel clock yet. Perhaps next game you might see barrel clock again. But this does not look very good for Yhrem right now. His
Yeah, that's-
Chimerian barely living at 1 HP. However, this Mimit right now is going to outspeed it and just take it down before it can press the button, or even the Pokus. But that Pokus is quite tanky, to be fair.
Yeah, it has also been building a little castle of itself, so it has some defensive stats.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like, unlike, Plat, he had a Shireen click Quartz Shield twice. Yhrem's
Yep.
Shireen got banned out first, so he never had that option of just setting up as fast as Plat did.
Yeah, and that's probably the end for the Pokus.
Yeah, unfortunately, the game does go into Plat's hand, maybe in a few turns, or if Yhrem decides to concede.
The bear just resting, chilling on the field. And there's the concession from Yhrem. So that's 1-0 for Senior Plat.
Wow.
So yeah,
Like, Plat,
how is Yhrem gonna win that? Game 2
Yeah, like-
and Game 3.
maybe
What are
he
his
has
plans?
to. Okay, one of the few things that hurt, Yhrem's side a lot was that Platimus. The Platimus was just like toxin showering again and again and just keeping itself alive, and that might be one of the few things that Yhrem might want to look out for. Maybe ban it out, perhaps. The Shireen as well was another threat from Plat's side that just put all the tempo into his side so that Yowler could begin stacking up and sweeping. Oh my god.
Yeah, but that's... you only have one ban, right?
Yeah, you only have
So
one
what
ban.
are you supposed to ban when everything is a danger? So yeah, there we see the Platimus ban from Yhrem. And
Yeah,
Yhrem taking a different approach this time, going for the Fragmat.
Yeah, Fragment is another Tem that can just start setting up. However, it is also weak to that water cannon we saw from that Shireen that just deals so much damage because of, one, the super effective tick, and two, because of toxic, like the toxic condition, right? That just deals like 25% to your HP, and that's nothing to scoff at, especially into a bulky team like this. Oh wow!
Oh, and there we see probably a Mimit from Yhrem to copy that Shween.
Maybe that. Oh wow, that is a very interesting play. Oh, I like that so much.
Yhrem going for that. Okay, you ban my Shween. Sure, I have a second one. No problem.
Like, Plat is here. Okay, I'm gonna ban your Shireen because it goes into my goes against my playstyle quite hard. But Yhrem's like, I have a second Shireen. Oh my! Oh, this is a very exciting play from Yhrem. But one thing that
well, same opener for Plat. There we see Hazrat heating up and Shween water cannon. So both Temps working quite nicely together, right?
Yeah, and not to mention, right, Plat, it's not like, although Yhrem has brought quite a spicy lead, it's not all over for Plat, right? He has a Hazrat that can heat up, and Magmut is not known to be the highest attacking of Tems, especially not after Rage was removed from his move pool.
Yeah.
But like that might just open paths for like that Hazrat when it's set up to just deal so much more damage that Yhrem cannot handle it. As for Yrem's side, we see the same picks, but from Plat we no longer see the Mimit as Yhrem does ban it, and instead Plat does bring quite a few different Tems, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the start from Yhrem is different, so Plat adapts to it, I guess.
Yeah, we see
So
both
this
Mimit
game
and
might
Platinum.
go a little differently than last game, but we still, of course, see the Yowler, and there is indeed Yrem's second Shrine.
And this second Shrine, okay, Plat knows that the second Shrine will come out, and instead of hitting that Magmut, which it might have Spec Gulp, right, and that Water Cannon would just basically heal that Magmut back up, he decides to aim for that Mimit because he does not want a Shrine helping Yhrem set up his own Tems. So he understands what he needs to take down first. Like, Plat used that Shrine to like the best of his ability last game, and he knows what that Shrine can do, and he wants to stop it at all costs.
Yeah, because if Shrine hit the Magmut right now, the Poison Ticks wouldn't have gone off because of Shrine's Guardian. And now that Shrine is facing a buffed up Hazrat, so that Lava Wave will do some damage.
Perhaps we might even see a Crystal Deluge from that Mimit Shrine, right? Because +2 speed, it can sleep the Hazrat. However, I do not like that play very much because then you don't have a board state where you exert a lot of pressure right now into that Hazrat or that Shrine. So perhaps what I would like to see is just a full-on bonk onto that Shrine on Plat side. Magmut is... do you know why it's called Fragmut?
Yeah, because it's probably gonna Oshidashi right into that Shrine's face.
It's gonna blow that Shrine out of this battle. If it hits, right? If it hits. And what? Oh!
So like you said, Senior Plat probably reading the the Magmut swap and the Crystal Deluge on the rat, and so deciding, yeah, I'm gonna prevent that sleep, wake up my rat. But no, and there you see like Oshidashi is like the animation is one of my favorite in the game, like that Tem just getting yeeted out of the battlefield.
Yeah, Plat unfortunately does not predict it correct, and this does mean that Cyclops, which has come in, it cannot doom that Magmut either. That's one of the few ways Plat can take down that Magmut, right? So Yhrem playing it, I believe, as perfect as he can. Plat unfortunately does not have the right read, but that does not mean he's out of it yet. We've seen what that Yowler can do, and that Hazrat is up there with the evasion with a +3 attack. So although I would say Yhrem has quite a big advantage here, it's still too early to call it over.
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, it's only turn 3, and oh well, okay, the rats that last turn was a little disappointing for Plat, to say the least, but it's not like he doesn't have any ways to come back anymore.
Yeah, like that.
There, for example, that's almost it's Fizz Gulp, so okay, that's a little
better for Yhrem right here, isn't it? Because of all the physical pressure right now. He just decides
setting up again. Alright, it's on the same level as Rage before, so it got +4 attack.
It only took a few more turns, right?
Yeah,
but it is
lower, but it's ready to
go
stomp on some people.
That Shrine did come in, so that does mean that maybe he wants to buff up his Magmut now, right? You saw how much Wastewater did, and if I was Yhrem, maybe I'd want to stop all of the damage from going onto the Magmut, right? So maybe he just goes for a very simple Quartz Shield to just let that Magmut live even longer. But no, he decides. Oh wow!
Plat reading it once again, being like, I've got a cage. You're not going anywhere, buddy, and your Deluge is not sleeping my rat, and you're going down. So that read from earlier was too bad, but this read was excellent.
Yeah, exactly. And now, like, one thing is though, that Hazrat is overexerted while trapped in at +3 attack. I don't know if I like that either. So although Plaid did get that read correct, and honestly, excellent read, but I still feel like it's not entirely that great for Plaid.
Yeah, because it allows Yhrem to bring in the Scaravolt, and now both Plat stems are trapped in, so that rat is probably going down this turn. And
You have
is it Falcon's how's it called? The thing that
Adrenaline
exerts
shot?
everybody's turn.
Ampere Outburst. I do believe it is 2 holds, so it should be up right now. But that Volgon does have other moves like Strangle as well, right? And we've seen it use Strangle with Adrenaline Shot to like strangle someone twice, or even like overexert something 3 times with the aid of Ampere Outburst. So maybe that is something we might see from Plat come here, as he won't be overexerting his Hazrat, as if it goes down, then it's not going to be overexerted. The whatever comes in afterwards, and it does go for that Ampere Outburst.
So Plat's probably assuming Yhrem would go for the kill on the Hazrat, so that Ampere Outburst not doing anything on his side of the team. There's a Toxic Farewell. 3 ticks of poison.
That is so much value, right? So like that trait, even on a bulky team like Plat, a frail Toxic Farewell Hazrat has so much value there. Oh wow. How else are you gonna take down this Magma that's like possibly gonna stomp your team? You're gonna use like Toxic Farewell, right? Is going to deal so much damage to that Magma that Yhrem is not going to like it. And with both Tems overexerted, Yowler is here with so much just like stocks. It has so much room right now to set up. However, that Magma, if it decides to rest, is not gonna like. Plat does not like that either. He doesn't want to take another Oshi to his carry right now, Yowler.
Yeah, and we see Yowler coming out because that's there's that Calibus, right, with the talisman, yeah. So basically that Cycrox in the back is like waiting for that Calibus to go down before it can really do anything.
So Yhrem does decide to bring his Pokus out. However, it is maybe slightly questionable that he brings Pokus out into an electric type such as Volgon, right? It might have a very strong Thunder Strike that could, lead that Pokus to take a lot of damage that it does not want. However, Plat decides to just go for the Strangle with Adrenaline Shot. It still does not overexert, but that does mean the Pokus cannot get any strong mental moves onto that Yowler this turn, which could be very huge. Oh, and the Magma back again.
Magmut, okay.
Decides to go for the Electric Storm, maybe predicting a Cycrox swap on the Volgon instead of going for a Thunder Strike. However, Plat, responds in code, deals a lot of damage. However, does not have Interest Call with his +3 attack up yet, and Volgon goes for that combo of just overexerting something again and again and again.
Yep, Volgon being like, okay, I'm not doing much, but you're not doing much either. So okay, that Strangle did heal Magmut, but it allows Plat for some leeway this turn, right? Because that Magmut.
Plat making this game from a 2v2 to a 1v1, of course, with that Volgon.
Yep, and there. That deals a lot of damage to the Cycrox.
Yeah, well, this Yowler is just being ignored. Honestly, if I was Yhrem, you would probably think that, okay, I have my Pokus, I'm gonna save it and I'm gonna use it for that Yowler later on, and let me just take down everything that's on that other slot, the right slot, that of Plat with the Cycrox. I'm just gonna focus all those down, and then Pokus can come in later and take down that Yowler. So maybe that's like his game plan going on right now. And Cycrox, as a digital type, does quite a decent damage, but literally harmful microwaves takes down that Magma as well, while this Scarable does not halter. It just goes in for the kill onto this Cycrox.
Yeah, so that Cycrox going down means Plat is down to his 2 last stems. And Yhrem still has 1 in the back, but that Yowler is not in a pretty good position right now because it didn't have really time to set up yet.
Yeah, it doesn't. I believe it might not even have Winter's Call up yet, and
I think,
Poke is going out of its way to just like make sure it does not take that electric damage it does not want. Right, just goes in and sleeps it.
yeah, and I think Winter's Call is up this turn. Well, so because it hibernated,
Mhm.
and I think it's up this turn
That's-
or maybe next turn.
Well, you'll see in a
Oh,
very
but
short amount of time that Calibus decides to just wake up the Volgon, and as Plat, like as Yhrem, like might have wanted, he wanted to just take down the Volgon slot so it does not defeat that focus, right? So
oh, and Plat just resting on Volgon, so that being woken up, he didn't take
does not,
advantage of being woken
yeah,
up.
did not use Strangle, but at the same time, do you really want to use Strangle this turn?
Yeah,
But
but
that does mean. Mhm.
you could have clicked E-Strike maybe on the Pocus, but
I believe the Calibus and the Focus are quite a bit slower than that Volgon, so it would not have the opportunity. But this Yowler, it's all up to it now. And is it gonna bear it out into that Focus +1 defense, +1 special defense? It's looking very difficult right now.
yeah, because I mean, one way of dealing with a raid boss stallish technique is just focusing the other slot and leaving the other, well, the raid boss alone, and then once you're 1v2, you can start focusing it. Because
Exactly,
now it's basically Yowler against 3 Temps.
and Yhrem has a raid boss on his side with that focus is just gonna keep healing and healing. And I think what right now he's going to go for is just to play it as safe as possible. He's gonna swap in and out that Scaravolt. Honestly, I don't know if I like this as much because now you're just allowing Plat to. Oh, he's doing this. Oh my god. Do you know what this is, Loriver? This is
Yeah,
the Hypno
this is a lock. Yep, because you basically lock him. You overexert him the turn where he is awake, and then you hypnosis him again, and you do that over and over again. And Platz knows what is going on and just forfeits the game.
Yeah, once you're in a 2v1 with a Hypnosis Tem and a Strangle Tem, it is impossible to break out of it unless you're faster than the Hypnosis Tem, which Plat was not this time. So he decides to spare some time and concede. We will be going into game 3, and will Plat maybe be changing things up after that Shireen perhaps being copied by Mimit and changing up, Plat's what Plat wanted to do, but no, Yhrem is the first person who wants to just ban out that Hazrat.
Yeah, we're seeing quite a different start from both players. Well, Plat's still banning the Schwinn because obviously doesn't want to face a rage turn 1 or something, but Yhrem putting the the fake Schwinn on his starter to tell Plat you are not allowed to pick that Schwinn.
Yeah, and if he doesn't pick that Shireen first, he might just swap that Mimit out for later in the, later into the battle and just copy the Shireen then, or maybe copy something else that's even better for him, right? Maybe that Platimus right now, Platimus Toxin Shower, it could even be better for Yhrem here.
Yeah, like you said, and maybe it will just be that. Like, no need to swap it out because there's the Platimus. So maybe that's Yhrem saying thank you very much for picking your Platimus.
Platimus is a Tem that is, I believe, quite decent into a lot of the toxics right now, mainly because it can Toxin Shower and basically outpace a lot of the toxics, where it just keeps on using Toxin Shower evasion. And I think Plat did it to Yhrem in another way where, in general, Platimus is really good into a lot of slower Tems that can't hit it back as hard because of the Toxin Showers. And Mimit giving it +2 speed makes it so that Platimus, Yrem's Platimus will go first and will go before any other hits from Plat, before Thunder Strike from Volgon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there we see the Magma getting banned.
He does not want that Oshidashi again.
Yeah. Magma
We see-
being.
We do see Plat not picking up the Yowler, instead going for that Shireen, Mimit, and Volgon. Do you know what this is looking like to me?
I think I will know in a couple seconds when you tell me.
I think Plat's game plan here is to use Yrem's Thames to defeat Yhrem with his Mimit. Instead of a Yowler raid boss, perhaps he wants to go for a Chimerian raid boss, right? You have the Adoraboros, the Pocus in the back. If you copy that Chimerian, it could spell game over for Yhrem if he does not respond fast enough to that Chimerian on Plat's side, if it does decide to become a Chimerian.
All right. Well, I guess we will see in a couple turns. And
He copies the
Ooh.
Nidra still. Okay, that's very interesting.
yeah, I was about to say like, okay, now that's. I didn't expect that.
I think one of the reasons perhaps is because the Ninja Soul might have Bark Shield, and maybe he wants to set up defenses so Plat can't do much against like his Mimit Chimerian, if that does come to be, into a lot of the Thames on, Plat's side. Or maybe he just wants to have the board state right now where Platymus or Ninja Soul, they can't hit the Mimit that hard right now, right? However, honestly, I don't like this play because one of Ninja Soul's strengths is Try Apothecary. You have a very strong tool to put a lot of toxic ticks, 6 ticks in one turn with allergic spread. However, you can't do any of that into all of these toxics on Plat's side. However, once you look in the back, you have Shireen, you have Volgon, you have Mimit. Perhaps he's going to save this Ninja Soul for later, and it's going to be a strong tool into those Thames in the back. We have no idea exactly what Yhrem is planning, but he is cooking.
Yeah, I mean, that. I think Yhrem is just using that Nidrasil for. It probably has spores, right? So he's probably just using that Nidrasil to set up his raid boss Chimerian.
And
With the Bark Shield and the spores.
The Plat swaps in his Mimit. The Terran Yhrem swaps in his Chimerian. Wow.
And we see indeed spores going off, so that's well, that's the exact same board. So who's gonna, and that's also the bait of Chimerian going down.
Yeah, the bait does mean he can't get any healings, but at the same time, it does mean that Chimerian cannot receive any toxicics right now, which I believe is quite good. And both players, they know exactly what they want to do, and they're doing the exact same thing.
All right, so that's a double raid boss battle.
And they're refreshing the Ebola, just topping it off a little bit.
Yeah, that Chimerian is definitely the king of the hill right now.
Absolutely. But like one thing right now is that Plat's Mimit is slightly lower on HP than Yrem's one, but you have so many tools to just heal the Chimerians back up. Like you have spores on Ninja Soul, right? And you have so many more ways of buffing up that Chimerian, I believe, on the side of Plat with that Shireen having Sport Shield. And that Rage with that Shireen goes off. Oh wow, oh my god, this is...
Yes, indeed, that's exactly like you said earlier. That's Plat saying, okay, you turn with Rage? Well, I've got a Shween. Guess what Rage plus Shween does?
He is playing Yrem's team for Yhrem against Yhrem. Oh my god. This is a very exciting battle.
Will we see like a double rage right now?
Yeah,
yes,
it is a double rage.
Alright, so that's a +8 Mimit.
+8 Mimit. And here's the thing, right? I do believe Plat's Mimit does not run a lot of attacking TV, so maybe that +8 is kind of important for Plat to just get going, right? And like you have to kind of just like, now that Mimit is just so scary.
That's a problem because like the Chimerian dealing what 15%, but the Nutbar healing at 5%. The Chimerian lost 10% last turn. And Yrem's Chimerian not being able to rage.
Yeah,
and now Plat's just gonna be like, okay, time to pull out the shotgun.
And not to mention, right, that Ninja Soul can't really touch the Mimit right now because of Guardian, while it's also running out of stamina, not to mention Chimerian on the side of Yhrem also going to run out of stamina soon, as Chimerian is a very stamina-hungry Temp, and as the bait is down, the Crystal Deluge comes and lands onto that Chimerian. However, are we gonna... Oh no, I was gonna say, what if we see a side Spores into Fun Whip?
But no, it's just a rest. That
That's
Mimid is probably preserving its stamina to get off another Bark Shield this turn.
But that Mimit, right? It is a +2 speed Mimit. It could just outspeed that Chimerian, wake it up with the Spores, healing it as well, and just like going ham on something like the Wogon. And perhaps, as you said, you could see maybe a Bark Shield into a Rage, maybe countering Rage with Rage here, or just simply going ham.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Yhrem has to do something against that +8 Chimerian. And like you said, there's the Side Spores, but that's CPG costing a lot of stamina because of the exhaustion and the Mom's Lunge.
Yeah, like it's honestly very difficult to state how difficult of a turn it kind of was when Plat just put in his Mimit into a board with Chimerian. That was Plat's game-winning win condition, and he found that win condition, and now he's playing out to it. However, Yhrem has nowhere near lost it, right? That Mimit might be at 50% HP, but that Nidrossil has like it has Spores, and not to mention that Chimerian, the Mimit is +5, so it's not gonna die anytime soon.
Yeah, and there we see the Vulcan trapping in everybody, so that Nidrossil can get some toxic ticks off, and also removing the regeneration ticks.
I believe Yhrem will just reapply the regenerating tick here, as he does not have much stamina on the Mimit, and might just go for the kill on the Wogon, perhaps the Glass Blade to just quickly finish it off.
Yeah, because as you said, like okay, Plat has a +8 Mimit, but Yrem's whole team is basically just full life still.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point you're gonna have to bring the Mimit out and start attacking, but if Yhrem manages to apply constant pressure to prevent that Mimit from coming out, then there's still a way to win this.
However, I think it's easier said than done as well. Applying pressure, because that Chimerian is out of stamina, and the only thing that really looks like it can deal damage to that Mimit right now is that Chimerian on Yrem's side. And like, you have Adoraboros and Focus who do not have like a good early move to hit that Mimit right now. And Calibus has Toxic Ing, but again, if that Shireen comes in on the side of the Nidrossil, that just means no more Toxic Ticks onto that Mimit, and now you're gonna have to brute force it down. And that CPG finally lands on the Chimerian, and it does not kill with that +8 defense. However, it does leave Chimerian very low.
But does a Toxic Ing kill the Chimerian?
No, he goes for Side Spores, which is honestly equally as important, right? You don't want this Mimit like going down, and if the Side Spores did not come out, right, next few turns, that Mimit would just go down to the Toxic Ticks, and now it will barely avoid going down, and we might just see like, what if? Okay, hear me out. Cooperation on that Nidrossil.
Cooperation? Yeah, why not? I mean, that's 10% healing, right?
But I think we did see all 4 moves, so Toxic Ink, Spores, Bark Shield, and there's probably an allergic spread as well. So if Cooperation was there, that would be very funny, but unfortunately it does not seem like it would be this turn.
Yeah, I think we would have seen that already if it was on the Nidrossil, but...
One thing I want maybe Yhrem to do is swap in Adoraboros to get Inner Spirit up, so maybe he could like threaten that Chimerian going, like the Mimit Chimerian going down on like one turn, maybe where there's like an Adoraboros with Inner Spirit, and on the other side you have like a Toxic Ing damage dealer, or you have another Chimerian like Yrem's Chimerian. When we do see the Focus instead, maybe wanting to set up its defenses or just trying to take some damage right now.
Yeah, because that Focus is probably never living whatever the +8 Mimit is throwing at it.
At least not until it gets some of its like
Yeah.
buffs. But even then, it would be a very difficult thing for it to, live a +8 Crystal Bloom Gatling.
But that Mimit being at 19% means it's hard for Plat right now to swap it in, because it's in danger whenever it wants to come in.
Yeah, like
There
one
we see
thing.
the synergy Urshal just putting 4 ticks of poison onto the Focus, being like, okay, there goes 50% of your life.
It's like one of like Plat's saying, right? He wants to slowly chip it down, and we also did see, not the Diabolo that just puts a Ninja Soul out of death's door for even more turns, but that Focus, right? It has Depress, and I believe Chimerian the Mimit right now is in Depress range, so that's one more Tem that can threaten that Mimit out. However, this Focus looks like it's going to take more damage than it wants with all of those toxic ticks, but as you said, the Urshal.
Yeah, and there we see some more healing on the Focus, because
Why not?
why not? Yeah, right. It heals itself already, but yeah, only on attack moves. So when I'm clicking Hypnosis, I can't heal myself. So I need some little support here. Thank you very much for those regeneration ticks while I build my fort.
You want, like, perhaps one of the ways Yhrem can break through these double toxics of Senior Plat is to just out heal them. While like the Focus is, taking a lot of damage here, maybe slowly, as it does more damage with Rejuvenate, it's going to heal a lot, and that regeneration ticks is also going to help quite a bit. But that, like, Plat wants that Focus to go down and does not bother. And Depress does not wake up a sleeping Tem. That's a very important thing to note. It's an often very forgetted trait of Depress, but it does not wake a Tem up. So that Depress landing with the Ninja Seal was a lot of value right there, as Ninja Seal did not get to act, but also took a lot of damage.
Yeah, but okay, that Platimus getting low on stamina, and Focus still there. So okay, now the Focus is probably in range of a Class Blade.
At +8, yeah, probably, and that's maybe what Senior Plat is trying to do, just get that Mimit out as the Platinum is low on stamina, but Yhrem swaps out that Focus, perhaps now getting up Inner Spirit on the Adoraboros, but I have a lot of doubts on whether this Adoraboros is going to live, and we do see the regenerating tick. Could this be the play that decides the game for Plat? Oh, but the Bark Shield as well.
Yeah. That Adoraboros is gonna take a ton of damage, but I don't think it's gonna die.
Yeah, it probably will live on a few percentage of HP, and we do see the Ninja Assault Bot for that Shui, and perhaps not wanting to take any toxic ink damage, toxic ticks with spores or whatever, and decides to just go
toxic skin also.
Oh, it's not even close.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, as you said, toxic kick. Oh no, I don't. Okay, I guess he had to preserve his stamina, but the Inner Spirit, is this enough? Is this
It's
enough?
probably going down.
It goes down. Oh, that is so huge.
There, the raid boss goes down. Is that enough for Yhrem to break Plat's game plan?
Honestly, it might just be.
That looks like it, in my opinion.
Yeah, like, how does Plat touch that Adoraboros and that Focus? They are quite low, so let's not like completely disqualify Plat out of it, but it's not looking too good. If you can get a Spores onto that Adoraboros without it like losing HP, but no, Plat understands and just concedes.
Doesn't want to take 20 more turns to lose, so he just like, okay, you got a red boss, GG.
Yeah,
Here is
like
the qualification for the finals.
he understood his win condition, and he saw that his win condition just went down to that Inner Spirit, and he decides to not, delay things and just to forfeit. He still has a lot of chances in the losers bracket. I believe he's going to play into either Prodi or Art.
He's playing against Prodi.
He's playing against Prodi. Okay, that's going to be a match we will be seeing later. However, Oh my god, man, these were 3 really intense games that were played to perfection, pretty much. And
Yes, indeed.
do you have anything to say on this series, Lord Beaver?
What? Excuse me?
Do you have any? Do you have anything to say on the series, Lord Beaver, before we pass it
anything
to
to say? Well, a great series, and yeah, I think we're just gonna pass it to our friends at the desk so that they can talk a little more about this match and the next one, because I think we have covered this match pretty extensively already. So
And they're gonna offer their, I would say they are really good players themselves, and they're gonna analyze this, break this game down, and explain it to us. So let us pass the stream over to East and B Flat and for the post game analysis.
and we'll see you guys later.
There we go.
Oh
There we go.
my goodness. So I could probably talk about that game for a solid hour straight and still have things to talk about, because all 3 games each showed us something different. Game number 1, we got to see classic Plat. We got to see the wear and tear. We got to see the wear down of the toxic ticks. We also got to see how Mimit is such a wild card in these games. Game 1 and 3 showed that Mimit is definitely a wild card when it comes to the striking transmog, being able to copy a Tem either on your side or the opposing side of the board and using it against your own opponent. Game number 2, I'm just going to say it right out of the gate, that was like reading Rainbow, the more you know, because there were so many reads in there, either that they were misfired, like the Crystal Deluge on the Hazrat on Plat's side, or on the second time when Yhrem tried to counter with a Crystal Deluge in return, but the cage stopping the Magnet from swapping out. Huge plays. I'm not one to give out titles or anything, but Rem, I think, is the king at absolutely being able to adapt to situations like this, and it showed in that 2-1 victory.
So the main thing that this series completely hinged on, the thing that Yhrem picked up that won him the series in between game 1 and game 2, is it clicked in his brain that, oh, Plat is terrified of Crystal Deluge. He will do anything possible to deny me Crystal Deluge, and so I'm gonna actually just first phase my Mimit, and that puts him in a difficult position where he either has to give me Deluge or he has to give me something else. And you can see it in game 3, where Plat was content to let Yhrem have his Mimit first phase because he's like, oh, I just won't pick my Schween first phase. And all of a sudden, boom, takes the Nid, and now Plat actually can't kill any of Yhrem's Tems anymore. So that was kind of what the series revolved around. Game 1, Yhrem didn't wise up to this and let his Mimit be second banned. But then game 2, he wisened up and said, oh, I can either steal his Deluge, giving me the tool that Plat's team, that Plat feels like he can't play against with his team, or I get to steal like a Nid or something like that. And I think that was it wasn't, I think, talked about too much over the course of the game, but first picking Nidrasil into an available striking Mimit board for Plat was I think a pretty big mistake. That was a pretty strong misplay there, because it gives Yhrem the opportunity to steal it, and like Plat's team has no way to deal with Toxic Immunity, Spore Healing, Bark Shield. Like, the problem with Plat's team in this matchup was that so many of his Tems are actually really good against him, as well as very good for him. So he is put in a very difficult position off of draft unless he bans Mimit. And if these players were to meet again, whether it be in losers finals or grand finals, it would not surprise me at all to see Plat just ban the Mimit first, because he's realized that, I would imagine he's realized that, oh, I actually can't beat my own Nid. Like, I can't beat my own Schween. I can't, like, he probably couldn't have beaten his own Hazrat either, right? So it all came down to Yhrem understanding he needed to first phase Mimit, which I think is a really, like, this is a big tournament. There's a lot of pressure. And when you lose turn 1 in a way that I think was probably emotionally damaging for Yhrem in some ways, like he had 2 mentals and he lost a Yowler, right? Like, that's the kind of thing that can break your mental, pardon the pun, if you're not careful. And I think Yhrem did a really good job adjusting. And something we should point out, is that Yhrem's won all 3 of his series so far 2-1. So he's had to recover from losing a game mid-set in every set so far. Plat's only had 1 set to get here, so, the adversity for him, I think, is kind of just beginning.
The Nidrasil was big because you have Spores on a raid boss team, you have Bark Shield on a raid boss team, you have a lot of options to return toxic ticks on things like a Yowler, which is true damage of 12.5%. That Nidrasil was more valuable than I think anybody ever realized. Even Yhrem, who's the one who stole it, that Nidrasil decided the entire game. It wasn't just vital, it was essential.
And with that, we're going to go into our break, and we'll be back. I think to cover the next set is going to be Lulachor versus Magnetonics. Magma top 3, baby!